The plant-based space has seen growth that is nothing short of explosive over the past several years. But as it grows, a number of challenges are also emerging within the industry, such as cost concerns and health and nomenclature debates. In this episode of the FNA Deep Dive, we speak to Smith from Thai plant-based firm Let's Plant Meat to find out more about this. But first, we find out more about the firm itself.
So we are Let's Plant Meat. We are a plant-based startup in Thailand that we focus on research and manufacturing and build adoption of plant-based meat in Southeast Asia and onward. When we see like the affordability of product also key to adoption. And we see that all the plant-based products, say burger, are from imports, like from overseas, USA and Europe. And we're looking at like the buying power in Thailand. It's not much to buy that in the significant portion to make it significant adoption in Thailand. So we think that if we can manufacture in Thailand, we can like try to make the cost be more reasonable. And also we choose the right ingredient where people in Asia could also benefit from their cost effectiveness. For example, we are using soy and rice protein instead of pea proteins, where the cost is just like different. And secondly, we try not to add so much of any flavoring or fortified vitamins where the costs just add up. So this is something where we try to make sure that we don't offer something unnecessary and while maintaining the cost down. The second prong approach is try to optimize the logistics, because in Thailand, I think plant-based is a frozen cold chain. So we want to minimize the packaging, not to overuse the packaging, and then we try to pack the most out of one carton so that we can have everything to be safe and pass that saving to consumer. It is what our thought.
Do you believe that this issue of cost is applicable to all countries within the APAC region?
I think for plant-based product right now, I think we see the product come from North America and from the Europes, where these things need to be frozen and shipped, and the transport distance so far, and then the volumes here is maybe seem to be small. So these are the things where Thailand, where the proximity of Thailand is like central among Southeast Asia, we could do that more effectively. And then with partnership throughout the importer in Southeast Asia, then we can get the messaging or the product development to more suitable for the Asian consumer, so that the volume or like the market demand will be maybe larger from just the plant-based burger patty alone.
Do you believe it's possible that in the future, the cost and prices of plant-based products could possibly drop to as low or lower than traditional meat and dairy products?
To be able to reach the mass market. So I think the communication and then the price and then the support from the industry also crucial. One thing is because the animal meat has so much support through retailers or through the government subsidies, directly or non-directly. So that's why they have the price control, so the retailer don't charge so much for the products. And because the wide adoption, so they can ship into the chill modes where the cost of transport and cost of production is less. The downside is that because chill product has like the shorter shelf life, only maybe 7 to 8 days. But plant-based product is come in like very small demand. So if we do chill product, then after 7 days, we have to throw it away. So I think so that all the plant-based now come to be a frozen form. We feel that if we have the wider adoption of the consumer, so retailer may think differently. Maybe they allow the people to buy the protein section, because protein is a section where retailer will not make much of profit, but they make profit elsewhere in like the shampoo, tissue paper, and all those other things. So if we can have the same support from the retailer, so I think people can choose the protein either from plant or from animal. And then for the scenario where to make, I think we have to imagine, because the animal is still raised in like very concentrated industrialized fashion. We could imagine that the animal diseases like the mad cow, the avian flu, or like the swine flu could happen again. And when it happens, the price of the animal product will soar or skyrocket, so that the only means of protein that could still be affordable is the plant-based one. So I think that could be the scenario that could happen, and that make the animal-based product become unaffordable. So plant-based meat will be something of an alternative for consumer to adopt to.
I would also like to touch on the perception that plant-based meat is very high in processing and sodium and additives and things like that, especially here in Asia. So what are Let's Plant Meat's thoughts on this? Have you seen any solution to this conundrum so far?
Sure. I think that the reason where people are looking at the sodium in the plant-based meat because we test it in the products. Because plant-based meat, we want to also not deliver just the protein, but also convenience for consumers. So when we offer the plant-based burger, we also lightly season the burger to get it the taste right at the first time, as compared to when you buy the ground beef. So you don't have to season because customer can do many other things. This is something where is the it's the perception where if something been tested, so that become an inferior point. But when you don't taste it, you don't see, you feel good about it. And secondly, when you talk about a highly processed product like the plant-based meat, where we take a part of the plant ingredient and we'll bring it back with the science and technology, and you feel that is highly processed. But if you think behind the slice or chop the tenderloin or sirloin or the pork loin, you feel that it's 100% meat, but what is it behind the production of the animal-based products, right? You know how what type of animal or food they put it in, what type of antibiotic or hormone. So you can argue that plant-based because it's been stated in the package that many ingredients. So you see the highly processed, but you don't have question on the meat itself.
So there's one other very big issue, of course, in the plant-based industry, which is about plant-based names and nomenclature and whether labels like dairy, meat, and sausage, so on, can be used. So this has been raging on in places like the US, like in France, and it's now slowly making its way over to the APAC region. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this will be a very significant issue here as well?
So talking about the new industry like the plant-based alternative food market, I think naming is so crucial for the perception to be formed, people to adopt a food or not, to be able to protect the word, to be exclusively for the incumbent industry, could be a savior for the old industry, like for the meat or for the milk, but that could be bad news for the humanity or for the global warming or climate change, because the plant-based alternative could be a way out to have the better world. So I think we want to think about the name that could be not confuse the consumer. And I think is fair, but to protect it from not using it, I think is also being so ungenerous. But if consumer understand the basic of the product and how good it can be for the health of themselves or for the environment, or even save life of billions of animals, I think whatever name that sounds good and mean well will also suffice to create the new movement.
What changes and developments do you foresee for the plant-based industry in APAC moving forward into 2021, especially after this crazy year? And what are some of your upcoming plans as well?
So I think plant-based industry, we see a lot of companies, startups come try to offer their own way of the plant-based thing. So I think the rate of launching a new product, it become like very interesting recently. So we just came from ThaiFex in September. So we see more of the plant-based products launched in that event alone. So I think we can listen to the news in Singapore, in India, in Philippines, in Malaysia. There are a lot of companies trying to offer that. It's a good news for industry. People have more choices to buy from and to add. I think through that bigger category, we see a lot of variety and a lot of one say like price competition. So you cannot set a price too high, because now people will offer something that the mass will want. So we can see the price kind of falling down to the level where people can start thinking about including into their meal or in their restaurants. Southeast Asia is the place where we would like to launch our product into. So we're working with importer in Singapore. We're looking at maybe launching in like maybe end of this year or early of next year, that we can see our Let's Plant Meat in Singapore. And for other country, I think COVID-19 is still here. So the restaurant open, not open, and then retailer here and there. So I think we are living in the phase where uncertainty is still present. But we'll make sure that we also deliver progress and the good product to consumers.